Hi guys, Jordan from P&P Campers. Just going to do a handover video on this Concorde Carver. So this is going to be quite a long video, just so you know, just due to the fact of the amount of extras and bits and pieces this thing's got. Same with a lot of Concordes. So start off just here at the front. Sorry about the noise. This is your diesel filling point. So that's not your freshwater filling point, that is your diesel filling point. Absolutely tons of storage down here. This is an underfloor storage unit, so you've got a double skinned vehicle basically. So first skin, second skin, which is the floor. Thickness of all of this wood is ridiculous. So you know, you can see the thickness of these cupboards, like absolutely unbelievable. How sort of thick everything is. Everything's carpeted, even the inside of all these lockers and things. So next locker is your propane gas locker. Well, it's just your gas locker. You have got the underslung tank underneath the vehicle as well, as a lot of Concordes do. They have both, so you have got the option of using either of these. So you can leave these on if you want to. It's always a good idea to switch these off before you start driving off, but you can leave these on all the time that you're sort of camped up. And when we get into the vehicle, I'll show you how you can select which one of these to use, either the gas in this locker or the gas from the tank underneath. But for now, just because it's going to start raining any minute, I'm going to close these up. This locker down here, this is your air conditioning system. That's the Sapphire system. This is all to do with that as well. You've then got these two over here. So this is your toilet waste drain off point and your wastewater drain off point. You've also got a freshwater drain off just there as well. This hole just here is for your hookup cable to come up through the ground and plug into your hookup point, which is just there. The idea for that is to stop any drafts coming into the vehicle. You've got this little cover thing here as well, which should go on there. And basically it just means that nobody can take your hookup out of your vehicle and take it away from yours, basically. So it's all completely secure inside this cupboard just here. You've got your external water point just here. This locker just here is your Aldi heating system and water pump. You've also got another so your main freshwater drain off point is this one over here. All the rest of them are all to do with draining the pipes and draining the boiler. So these ones here, if you wanted to drain the boiler out, drain all the water out, just basically open up all of these drains here. This one is included. This is the actual main one here, for the boiler, the water inside the boiler. But yeah, there you go. So when you lift this up, it will drain out all the water from the boiler, and if you lay it down flat where it is now, it will retain any water that's inside of it at any given time. So I'll run you through that again when we get inside, and sort of explain to you how it works. But that is the whole Aldi heating system and your water pump just here. Above that, we've got your freshwater inlet and your Aldi heating system vent. So I'll just close these up. In the garage, we've got the external shower point. So I know that it's kind of inside as well, but it is, you know, for using outside really. All of the pipes to connect up for the toilet drain off point are just here as well. I'll go around to the other side as well, because you've got the because I fitted the new batteries for it. So as discussed, I'll get around to the back in a minute, but as discussed, we've got the 3 brand new Master Volt batteries in there in the back. This is all to do with your hydraulic rams, so this is all stuff that would have been fitted you know, a long time ago. This is your Master Volt inverter. You can see the size of that thing, absolutely huge, great thing. And that can also be turned on and switched off from inside on the control panel. So I'll get through to that in just a minute. These 2 vents just here are for your fridge. This one here on the side is your toilet locker. Now see, this being a Concorde, you've got a porcelain toilet, so it's not got a cassette that you take out. This pipe here physically just runs through to the waste tank underneath. So I'll show you how that all works, but really all you need to actually get this working is water in the freshwater tank. So I'll show you how all of that works when we get inside. External gas point. So you just basically plug your barbecue point or whatever it is you need into that end there and turn this dial. This one's got a lock on it, so you can push it in so it's shut and then key in, turn it, key out, and that's locked. So this locker at the back is where all of your electrical, well not all of them, but most of your electrical bits and pieces are in here. So again, a typical Concorde thing to have are these kind of aluminium, well, metal sheets basically to cover up everything, which I think is quite nice personally. So if we just take these off, put the light on behind us. So behind this cover just here, we've got lots of important bits and pieces. So up here is your main 12-volt fuse panel. There is a little symbol and a number next to each one of those telling you what it does and what size it should be. Next to that, we've got your two RCDs. So essentially, or your RCD units. These basically just your trip switches, just like you'd have at home, all to do with your 240 volts, so your hookup side of things. Down here, various relays. The relays will be for lots of different reasons, lots of different things. Solar module controller. Again, you don't have to do anything with this. In fact, you don't have to do anything with any of this. It's just, you know, I just thought I'd point out to you where it all is. The only thing I do need to show you is this one just here. So the door itself, I'm not obviously going to, when I get into the vehicle, it's already unlocked, so I don't have to show the code that gets you into it. But if the leisure batteries go flat, which they shouldn't do, bearing in mind they're all brand new, and I fitted them a few days ago, you can manually override that by unlocking it here. So you can always get into the vehicle whether the batteries are dead or not, as long as you have the access to this locker at the back. The leisure batteries themselves are behind here. If I just lift this off. So again, you can't really see them, to be fair, but all of this stuff just here, you don't have to do anything with it once again. But it is all to do with your master volt batteries and inverter. So you got these three little modules just here, which I believe are the temperature sensors. This just here is basically just a power unit for the actual inverter itself, and the three batteries. So that's just one of them there on the right hand side. There's three of those next door to each other, and like I said, they're all brand new. It was a bit of a job for me to do it because, you know, I had to take all of this stuff out, you know, flop it down out of the way. Thankfully I didn't have to actually undo anything, but it was all a bit tight in there, but it's all in there, so you shouldn't have to do that anytime soon. The batteries that were in it were from new, so they're 10 years old, or they were 10 years old, so I think they've got a pretty good usage out of them. Bearing in mind the amount of electrical bits and pieces that are on this vehicle, it does need a hell of a lot of power, so that's what it's got. Right, a bit easier with two hands. Right, I'll sort this out. I can't do it with one hand. Oh, God. Always happens on the video as well. Right, I'll sort that out in a minute. Okay, so get into the vehicle now. I'll leave that light on so I can see in a minute. So, as I was saying, when you come up to the actual habitation door here, if you press and hold on this little button here, it brings you up a screen. Now, I'm not going to type the code in because I don't want everyone to see it. But once you've got that little screen up, you can also press and hold on this right-hand button, and it'll give you your overhead light and your step light. So you can probably see there, there's a light down there to guide you in. You can turn that off by pressing and holding on that same button. Actually, if I remember rightly, you have to do it when the door's open. So let's get that come up again. There you go. So the light's gone off. Okay, so you will obviously know the code when you come to pick the vehicle up, but you just type it in on that screen there and that'll unlock the door. To get out of here as well, once you're actually into the vehicle, because it's got the electronic locking system, press and hold on this button just here, and that allows you to open the door. So that's that, just in time for the rain. Lovely. Okay, so we'll start off down here in the cab. So it's based on the Iveco chassis. Now it's quite quite a high up, powerful engine because it's really made for kind of small lorries and things like that. So when you are driving this, you do feel nice and high up. It is quite nice to drive, being this high up and being able to see quite a lot more than you normally would. So the way it works, gearbox wise, you've got top right where it is now in neutral. You've then got straight down for reverse, up and over to the left puts you in automatic. And if you push it over to the left when you're already in that mode, like that, it will change you over to manual mode, which is where you can go down the gears or up the gears like that. If you just want to leave it in automatic, just push it back over again and it will come up with A on the dashboard. If we go back over to neutral, you can then just let go of everything and obviously pull your handbrake up just there. Also on the dash, we've got your Waco reversing camera. So Waco is pretty much the highest spec really for those kind of bits and bobs. There is air conditioning, as you'd expect. It doesn't actually have a button saying aircon on or anything like that. But it's one of those sort of systems that basically, if it's a hot day and you put it down to low and turn it up, the air conditioning will be working in order to cool the thing down, if that makes sense. So, well, there's various buttons on here, all to do with the normal engine side of things. Hazard lights, radio isolator switch, so you can have that on all the time if you want to, and the actual radio down there. All pretty self-explanatory stuff, really, if I'm completely honest. You've got cruise control, which works from that little stalk just down there. Your main lights on and off switch is just there. Washers and wipers are on the right. You've got the blind that I've got halfway down here. I just thought I'd show you it like this. This bottom switch just here, if I press and hold on the up position, or whichever way it is, let's have a look. Alright, we can bring it all the way down there like that to completely close off the front, or we can go all the way back up again. I just like to show you it working. I don't think I was pressing the button hard enough. That was my issue there. So that'll go all the way up. So you can use that whilst you're driving along as your kind of sun visor, because obviously there's not any sun visors to lift down over your head here. So you can use it as that. The top of the windscreen is tinted with that blue kind of shade, so it's not too bad if you don't use it. But yeah, there you go. That's just there if you need it. And the other one here is your air suspension system, I believe. So all of this sort of stuff, you don't really have to do anything with this, if I'm honest. You've got high, medium or low for just a general ride height and a service button. But to be completely honest, you're probably not going to be using that so much as opposed to the hydraulic rams, which I'll show you how to use in just a minute, over towards the back. So that's about it for the cab, really. There's two switches just down there which do your lights above your head and underneath the wherever they are. Just the ones above your head here. All of the cupboards open up with these little bits just here, so they open up really nice and easily from that, and they're all nice and strong, so they're not going to pop open when you're driving or anything like that. So the driver's seats swivel round to make up this front lounge area at the front if you want to do that. So that is about it for the cab there. Lots and lots of paperwork. You can see that it's literally loads and loads of stuff in there for it. The previous owner has absolutely loved this thing, and I know that the previous owner of this van did actually have a Concorde before this as well, so a bit of an enthusiast owner. So these cupboards up here, we've got a couple of bits, not really much to show you in these, to be completely honest, but again, just absolutely tons of storage. I'd be quite impressed if you can fill this thing up with stuff, but There you go. Right, so this main control panel area, as soon as you walk in the door, I've got this top section open just so I can show you a few bits. So there's obviously absolutely loads of remotes in here. The Oyster satellite dish is on and off from here. You have got, when you turn this on, if I show you, the satellite dish is actually up at the moment, up on the roof. So when I turn the telly on, it should just be sort of locked on anyway. In fact, just remind myself, inverter, I will go through all of this in just a minute, but when we turn the inverter on, it should send power to the telly. There we go. So turn the TV on and you might be able to see, not sure if you will or not, there are some instructions in the paperwork to go through and operate the TV system. But if I just... Right, so if we look up here, there you go, satellite going up. And it will just turn around now a few times and lock on wherever it needs to lock onto. So that'll just go around a few times trying to find its signal. So it's just literally locking on now, because you'll see a few numbers coming up on that little bottom screen there. When there's this sort of stuff in here, I do like to sort of get it up and show you it sort of working and things. Should see a number come up here any minute. It's always the way, isn't it, on the videos? Seems to be anyway. So it will just keep going until it locks on anyway, and then it'll stop. I think you should be aiming this way really, if it's going to find the right signal. Where is it going to stop? Either that or I've done something wrong. Not entirely sure. I know that it works because we had it locked on when you came to view the vehicle. But right, we'll leave that to find its signal anyway whilst we do the rest of it. So as soon as you walk in, as I said, we've got the main control panel just here. This is quite simply just press the screen there, turn it on from this switch just here, and that will just basically bring up this whole control screen just here. Look, so straight away, a couple of bits to point out. We've got lights on and off from that switch just there. So when you turn that back on, absolutely all the lights you had on before will come back to life. Water pump, turn that on and off from there like that. If you want to use your heating system, press this button on here and you'll see the screen will come on just like that. That's just calibrating itself there. So heating on just there, you can just turn it on and off from there. It's just basically linked up directly between them at the back. This switch just here is for your inverter. So now that I've turned that off, the whole TV's just turned itself off. All right, so when I turn that on, TV will then get power back to it. So essentially, whether you have a hookup cable plugged in or not, you can get 240 volt power running to anything really. I mean, but mainly the TV system. So having that inverter on and off like that is really, really helpful. We've also, the reason we've switched out the batteries for these specific ones we've put in, they're 3 master volt batteries, and the actual entire inverter system is a master volt system as well. So we thought we'd keep it proper and keep it all exactly as it would have been from factory, just brand new stuff instead. The next one is your basically turning on the bottles here. So this one just here is turning on the bottles and gas tank. So I'll turn the gas tank back on because I've got the fridge lit up on gas at the moment. But so if I didn't want to use the gas from in the bottles in the locker, I would turn that one off just there. And if I didn't want to use the gas from the gas tank, the underslung tank, I would turn that one off. Because at the moment I am using the gas in the underslung tank, I'm going to leave that one on. The other bits and pieces that are on here, we've got this one here telling us that the solar panels are working. If we go into info, it brings up this screen here, which essentially tells us the gas tank is 70% full, which by the way is a lot of gas, so that's really good. The toilet holding tank is empty. Wastewater empty, and so on. I don't have to show you all of them, but the main ones really, you've got your vehicle battery voltage, so that's 12.6, and your leisure battery voltage. So 12.3, that is absolutely perfect. We've got absolutely every single light in this vehicle is on at the moment, and the inverter's on, and the, you know, everything is on basically. So 12.3 in a leisure battery system that all of this stuff is on with is absolutely perfect. If I turn the, if I turn the lights off, look, I'll just show you. If I turn the lights off and we go back into there, straight away, well, obviously not straight away, but this would start going back up again towards 13. So you can see there, it will slowly start going back up. Right, so put the lights back on and come back out of here. So that's your information system. So that's basically just telling you all your levels, absolutely everything is in there. Program will basically get you into bits and pieces that you don't really need to see, to be honest, all to do with the settings and things. Right, so next to that, we've got your heating system. Now this is your heating and hot water system. So having this button on here allows you to use this, like I said. So Aldi heating is really, really simple. All you have to do to actually get it to work is choose either gas or electric, and then medium heat water or hot water, or off. You can turn it off. Well, you can turn it off, but there must be a different way of doing it. But the top one is the last one, which is your internal temperature that you wanted to get to. So I want to set it to 20. So now at the moment, the Aldi heating system is going to light up on the gas because I've got the on switch here on the gas, and it won't be working on electric because I've not got that on. It will be heating the water up to medium temperature, and it will be heating the van up to 20 degrees. When I come back off the menu button, it comes here telling us the internal temperature that it thinks it's at. This is the little thermostat for that. But basically it thinks it's 15 degrees in here right now, and I've set it to get to 20 degrees on the gas. All right. So it's telling us here that the fan is running, or well, the combustion fan inside the heating is running. It's working on gas, and we're heating the van up. That's all that's happening right now. So perhaps actually on this older model, it might just be on or off for the hot water. That might be how it works on this one. On the newer style, or the brand new ones, you can turn this off all the way, but perhaps it's just on or off like that. Right, so that's how you use that system there. The way that the Aldi heating system works, if you're not familiar with it, is you've essentially got, where I showed you where the actual cupboard, the Aldi heating system is down underneath this seat just here in that outside locker. Essentially how it works is you've got radiators dotted around the vehicle. I'm just trying to find what, well actually, there's a good example, in the bathroom. In the bathroom you've got this heated towel rail. So this is literally a normal household radiator. All right, so that is warming up. I can feel that it's warming up already. So I know that's a little bit extreme in the bathroom being there, and I can imagine that's the original factory fitted one. But there are equivalent radiators. They don't look like that one. That one's obviously there and made to look nice. But the radiators that are dotted around the vehicle are all underneath any of these little vents here. So there'll be a radiator just behind that. There'll be a radiator behind here. I know that there's one down here. There's one down there, which you can just about see through those grates, actually. That's what they look like. There's one down there, and there's one over this side, one behind this seat, and there'll be some round there behind around the bed there. So the radiators are absolutely everywhere, and all the Audi heating system does is warm up some water, so coolant basically, and pumps it around to the radiators. So it works in exactly the same way as a boiler would at home. So as you can, so it's exactly the same. You know, like a boiler works at home, it just pumps the water around whilst it heats it up, and eventually, when it gets to a temperature, the radiators get hot. It's exactly the same, no different at all. So that is how that works. If you want to turn this off, come back on here, switch off, and then just turn your temperature down basically up here to around sort of 14. And then you can turn it off from there, or turn it off from that button just there. Okay, so that is how that works. Before you start using your heating system there on hot water, there is one thing that you need to do. First off, you need to come into here and just make sure that you've got some fresh water in the tank. So at the moment we've got 20% in the fresh tank. Now I think these have got around 300 litre fresh water tanks, these particular vehicles. Now please don't quote me on that. I'm just thinking of what the last one had. I'm pretty sure it had that same thing. So 20% of that is going to be a hell of a lot of water still. So what's that going to be, like 50 litres roughly, I think. Again, don't hold me to that. But it's going to be about that much. There's going to be a lot of water in there still, even though it says 20%. So make sure you've checked that, so you've got enough water in the tank. The pump is switched on at the moment. I know that because I was already in there, and I saw that it was on, so that's on. I can then come to the tap, the sink here, turn it to the left, and pull the hot water side of things through. So once I've started pulling that through, and I can see that it's coming out there nice and easily, I can know for a fact that the boiler is full of water. I'll just do it on the cold there as well, make sure there's no air. And there you go. So I now know that that boiler is full of water. And the reason that I know that is because if the pump, so this is how it works in any motorhome, doesn't matter that it's a Concorde in this instance, any motorhome at all, you've got a water pump which draws water directly from the fresh tank. If you turn the tap over to the hot side, the water goes through the boiler first before it comes to the tap. So if the boiler isn't full of water, and basically meaning that little yellow tab has been lifted up at some point, which I showed you outside, if the boiler is not full of water, there won't be any water coming through the tap until it is. All right, and until the boiler's full, you shouldn't be trying to heat it up on this system over here. All right, so that's that. You can pull this little bit back here, and that gives you a little bit of access to the back of the control panel and the back of the Audi heating system. You can probably see here that you've got these two wires that basically, as I said, one of them literally just comes over from the control panel to make them work together, basically. But that is that. So, right, so one other thing I will point out as well, because I no doubt forget this, up here, a bit awkward to take off with one hand, but your skybox is up there. Okay, the receiver for that, just put that cover back on. The receiver for that, I think, is this just down here. So you don't have to point up there or anything. I think you just point down here and it all works like that. Again, I'm not an expert, to be completely honest. I'm not a Concorde expert, but you know, I know how they roughly work. So the Sapphire Comfort, which is your air conditioning system, works with this controller here. So if I turn it on like that, I can set the temperature that I want. Now this should, again, if I remember rightly, this should be underfloor and it should come out through this vent just here. There's probably another one somewhere. But yeah, it's just basically the air conditioning system. Really, really simple to use. You literally just change the mode there if you want to, comfort, fan, fan speed, and then set your temperature, basically. Very, very simple. But that's how that works. Turn it off again, like that. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if you need to have your inverter switched on in order to use that, just so that you know, because it will be a 240 volt appliance. Down here, we've got your EP hydraulic system. So, again, I'm not much of an expert with this, but I do know how they work and that they are very, very simple. When I turn the button on here, the little screen comes to life. Now, all you have to do, if you actually want to get the jacks to come down, you can either press this little hand button, which brings up a little hand symbol here, and physically put these rams down yourself. Now, if you do that, obviously it's not going to be completely level. So if you don't want to do it like that, there's a button there that says auto, and then there's one that's at the bottom here that basically lifts them back up. So if you press the auto button, it will put the hydraulic rams down, lift it up, level you up, and then stop when it's level. Okay, because you see there's automatic leveling system. And when you want to put them back down again, you need to press the very bottom button, which pushes the rams back up, which then obviously in turn puts the van down. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Just turn it back off again, just like that. But yeah, they worked really, really well. They weren't working so well when the old batteries were in it, because the old batteries are a little bit kind of, they had good voltage in them still, but they weren't very healthy. So now that we've replaced those batteries, it all works perfectly fine, which is a real bonus, because, you know, like I said, they're really reliable systems, but it was a bit nerve-wracking for us when we couldn't get it to work, because the batteries were a little bit flat, but got there in the end. So your oven slash grill up here, well, it's not an oven slash grill, it's an oven and a grill up here, so you can light the grill up by pushing this in and round to the right like that, or push in and round to the left. I'll just pull this grill out of the way. In and round to the left lights up the oven. Okay, so that is how that works. You need to have the door open here if you're going to be using the grill, but for the minute we don't need that. Fridge. So this is a standard 3-way Dometic fridge. Obviously, being Concorde, they've gone all out and got you the most expensive one that they make. So if I just quickly run you through how it works. So it's basically a 3-way fridge, so it works on gas, mains, or 12 volt, just like any motorhome fridge does, really, or most of them do. But you've also got on this one, you've got this little A button. So if I press that, A basically means automatic, and it will automatically decide which energy it thinks is the most efficient to cool this fridge down at any time. So at the moment, I've put A on, and it still believes that gas is the most efficient way of cooling the fridge down, which it is. I don't have a mains cable plugged into the van, and the engine isn't running, so the other 2 ways wouldn't work anyway. All right, so if I turn this off for the minute, when I first turn it on, I need to just decide basically which way I want this fridge to get cold. So I personally think, because I've only got the gas on, I can only use gas anyway, so I'm just going to choose gas. If I turn it on and it's already on automatic, it will select that for me. It will do that by itself. If I had the mains electric plugged in, I would want to choose this one. This will flag up a code in a minute, unless it works from the inverter, but I don't think it will. There you go. So there's your code flashing up. If I had the engine running, I could select 12 volt. Again, flashing up because the engine isn't running. So I can only use gas. And that's it. That's all you have to do. Temperature. Okay. So, like I was saying, I know that you've got a van already, but if I just quickly explain, the only 2 ways to get this fridge cold by itself is the mains electric, so your hookup, or your gas. So these fridges take about 3-4 hours to actually get cold in the first place. And the idea is to get the fridge cold and then switch over to 12 volt just for when your engine's running and you're driving. So what these vans have, or what all motorhomes have really, is something called a split relay. So a split relay basically draws power between, so where the alternator charges up your engine battery, it splits that power and sends it off to the leisure batteries and to the fridge. So that all the time that you're driving, you've got power at the fridge in order to keep it cold, which is what that 12 volt symbol there is for. So that won't do anything at all until I physically start the engine up. Right, so that is the fridge. I've shown you the aircon and the heating and hot water. Microwave at the top here. This is working now because I've got the inverter switched on, so you can use this microwave via the inverter without the hookup cable plugged in. If you actually want to turn the aircon unit on, I've just realised the little pickup for it is there, so I think it should do something if I turn it on here, basically. Hopefully. It may or may not be that you have to have a hookup cable plugged in to actually use it, because I think that should be flashing something up there. So you might, it will say on your habitation sheet, because like I said, I didn't actually do this hab check, but it will say on your hab sheet whether or not you need to have the hookup plugged in to use it. I would imagine you probably do, because that's not, like I said, normally when you turn those on it would flash up there, but I think maybe because I haven't got the hookup plugged in, it will need a direct current from the hookup. Okay, so down here we've got access to what I think is your fresh tank. Nice little bin in there, quite a neat little design. Absolutely, just tons of storage everywhere. Just seeing if there's anything I need to show you, which I don't think there is. So, storage for storage. This is a Thetford cooker up here. So you can see how easy that is to use. No separate ignition switch or igniter needed to light those up. Just like that. So, you know, I don't need to run you through that. The only thing I will say is please don't put this glass down straight after turning these off, or obviously whilst they're actually running. But if you've had these on for a little while, they still retain a lot of heat, even if you've turned them off. So just allow them to cool down a little bit extra before putting that glass down, because even though it's reinforced glass, it will shatter. If you put it down on something really hot and it's cold on top, it will shatter, and I have seen it happen. So try your best not to do that, but that's that. So yeah, like I said, at the moment, the gas that's actually being used is this one here, the gas tank. So that's the tank underneath. Okay. So it's up to you where you want to use it from, but if I was you, if I'm completely honest, I would be using this gas tank one for now, because there's so much gas in it, and you'll be amazed how long that actually lasts. So you may as well just use that, but there is 2 bottles in the cupboard as well. The shower section here, we've got the switch for that just here at the top. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory in here really. You just got the standard kind of top there, just literally a 2-way handle just there. The vent up here, you can undo that. It's a little bit awkward having that thing in the way, but you can undo that and open it up whilst you're actually in the shower. I just will say, when it started raining a minute ago, it was actually raining really heavily outside. I don't know if you can see, but it didn't really make much noise in here. It must be really well insulated on the roof as well, because I was expecting it to be quite... Normally if it's raining and I'm doing one of these videos, you can barely hear me talking, but there you go. So in the bathroom, the toilet, you can make this whole section up here. So if you see this little handle here, obviously has its own little mechanism inside, but you've also got this little piece here. So if I just show you, we get to this point, push it a bit further, and it actually locks this door in I'm not very interested to look at, but it locks the door in there so that you can actually have an entire sort of back section, if you like. So yeah, this is the radiator I was talking about, the Audi heating system. Filtered water here, if you want to use that, you can do. And your normal hot and cold tap. The toilet really is the bit that I need to show you back here, because it's the only bit that you probably aren't familiar with, to be honest. So it's a Jabsco toilet, which basically means it's a marine style toilet, so you'd find this kind of toilet in boats and things like that. Now, it really couldn't be much easier, if I'm honest, but I will show you how it works. So you've got fill. So that quite literally just fills it with water. You've got quick flush, empty, and flush. So if I just press flush, it'll put more water in and then drain it out. So it's got the little sort of macerator thing down there. It should flush it again now. And there you go. So the water pump, the fresh tank, draws the water through the water pump to here and just does exactly what you tell it to do on there. And it really doesn't get much easier than that, if I'm honest. So that is the toilet. You have got, now obviously you don't really need to use this in all honesty, because it's you've got the satellite on the roof. But you have got here the standard sort of tilt and turn TV aerial if you wanted to use that, and the booster next door to it. Loads more storage in here just in case you didn't have enough already. Same on the other side. So that's that. Now obviously it's a little bit messy around here because we've been fitting the USB sockets, so they're all over the place now. But they're all done. All in. Yeah, so close this again, switch the lights off. Yeah, just trying to make sure there's nothing else I need to show you, because there are quite a few things. I'll try and lock this thing back on again. Maybe, I think I might have done something wrong, to be honest. So that should spring back to life in a minute anyway. So that's just the sound. It's just the sound of it getting past its first little bit. I mean, it's been up there 10 years, so there you go. So yeah, I think I've pretty much covered everything I can. I'm trying to think if I've missed anything. I don't think I have. If you think there's something I've missed out or anything you'd like going through again, just let us know. But in the meantime, we're going to carry on giving it a good clean through. Habitation check, as I said, is all completely done, and we're all happy with it. So yeah, we just look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van now. Thanks very much.